This is, what is the date today? It is the 20th of May, 2021. I'm Commander Jantrax, and this is the Loose Screws podcast. And I can't get the hotfix to download, so I'm just staring at a bunch of game launchers. But anyway, that's okay. Tonight, there are people who have played the game to talk to, including Commander Chig. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, I've played it some. I'm sure we'll be talking about it.
Dubs, how you doing?
I was doing great until it didn't.
You're doing great until it didn't.
Until the game just decided that, hey, you've been having a really good day. Let me just mess up real quick.
Grammar strong.
Commander Lieutenant Commander Data.
Hello. I have been playing, and I'm having fun.
Oh,
All
Commander
the fun.
Nurgle.
It's a very stable install. Very stable.
And NLTT.
You know, the BGS is on fire, and we have a lot to talk about. Let's dig in.
There is much. Yeah. Well, it happened. Odyssey came out. The game is now Odyssey, and Odyssey is now the game. So, all in all, seemed like went better than it could have gone. I actually had an okay time earlier today. I got on for just a few minutes and took kind of a long lunch because I hadn't gotten a chance to until today on Thursday. And everything seemed relatively okay. I had a few gripes I was going to talk about, but now there's a hot fix pushed a couple of hours ago, and I can't get Oculus or Steam to admit that there's an update and start down. Well, Oculus admits there's an update, but it's sitting there just, it downloads and then it sits there at 0%, won't install. So that's an Oculus issue. And then Steam won't admit there's an update at all. The launcher just says, you can't launch me until Steam updates me, and Steam won't update. So I guess I'm staring at my show notes. How's it been going with you guys? You want to, should we catch up? Let's catch up, you guys. What's up since last we spoke, Chig?
Is this on stuff other than Odyssey then?
I don't know, man. I don't even know what to do. I'm feeling a little like, why did I don't know. Why did I make show notes? I don't know.
Well,
I don't know what to think.
Well, I mean, headlines for the episode is just Odyssey, duh. So yeah, go from there. I in real life, I've been working less and less, and now I'm like hopping in more Discords and talking to people during the day, which is weird because usually I'm at work watching some streams.
Strange.
Oh, Izzy got affiliate on Twitch, so I had to do all of that text information and stuff. It was kind of interesting. that was neat.
Did she get another monitor?
She's actually going to come down to Texas and get the one off your wife's desk.
Oh, no.
You said she could.
She will have to physically fight it away from my wife, and I guarantee you she will lose.
My daughter's got a lot of swords, so she might come armed.
Whoa.
We'll make this work.
Oh, okay.
To the death. Other than that, yeah, it's been getting ready for Odyssey, and we'll be talking about that plenty the rest of the show. So whoever else wants to talk.
Is that me? Is it my
how
turn?
about Dubs? Is it monitors? Is it monitors that's been going on with you?
Monitors or monitor? One big monitor. Monitor. One big one.
Is that like the human body and bull head thing?
Not
a bull head.
I don't know. But anyways, yeah, my week. What's happened to me? I bought a big ass monitor, and Odyssey happened. I think that's really it. Other than that, it's been a pretty boring week.
Yeah. That monitor's what, 5x2?
It's literally 4 feet across.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Odyssey.
Well, mine's ultra wide. What do they call yours?
Insane.
Is there a name for
words.
something wider than ultra wide? 5120 by 1440. It's stupid. That's what it is, and it's amazing.
Aren't they
at the
called
same time.
super ultra wide? Isn't that the official term? I don't know.
I mean,
too wide.
He's gone to plaid.
Baseballs. Nice, right?
Okay. Data, what's up? You've been doing anything besides Odysseying?
No, that's been about it for me this week. We celebrated the end, quote unquote, end of Horizons. Well, I think one night we had our racing, our canyon racing event at Pameche, and which involved little fast ships and huge slow ships.
Yeah, and a Type 10 sumo battle.
Yes, to the death. And we got an idea for trying out sometime. How fast did we get your Type 10 dubs with a bunch of force shell?
I'm wanting to say I peaked at like 560 meters per second.
Yeah, I got to chase after you with a courier someday, firing those things.
Yeah.
And then
hell yeah,
the night before Odyssey launched, a bunch of us went out and hunted Tharkoids. So that was a lot of fun. I hadn't done that in a long time. So now my fleet carrier is stuck in the Pleiades with all my ships on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
big ooh.
Jumper carriers.
Hey, I'm just gonna say you were warned.
Yeah.
It could be worse.
High as 1,500 light years out.
Can't
1,500.
So far, temporarily disabling carrier jumps is up to like 24 hours now. It's 24 hours.
24 hours to slow the spread.
Put mine back in town before the update, so I'm still back in the bubble, and I was bumbling around Ross for a few minutes when I got in the game long enough to do the fun tutorial business.
Yeah.
And I was and then kind of play with some settings and just experimenting from the VR perspective. And it's, it was pretty much okay. It's performance is a little strange, and I feel like there's some hiccupy strangeness to it that isn't just pure lack of performance. Because even when I turn the resolution in the headset like all the way down, like to where you literally can't see anything, and it had the same load on the GPU. So something's up, but it runs pretty close to normal on at my previous settings on the 3080. But there's a little bit of strange things. But I just did a little bit of. I went and shot down one anaconda to prove that it worked at lunchtime. And now like I said, I can't get the update. So anyway, Nurgle, what's up, man? Are you upset?
Well, at the game, yeah, because I think I've crashed 5 times in the past hour or so. But my youngest son graduates from high school tomorrow night.
Oh, right.
So I am both happy and feeling very old.
Great. Congratulations to him and to you, I guess. Like by by the vicarious by the vicarious principle.
That's all right. The old man.
Well.
The old man actually called in some favors today and already has him a job for next week. So,
all right,
awesome.
Brutal.
The rest for the wicked.
You're out of high school, son. Time to get early. Start earning.
Cool. And hey, what's new in the zoo? You live in the zoo, by the way.
I live in a zoo. It's really
I don't know
here.
It's just what kind of fell out of my mouth. I'm hearing it at the same time that you all are.
Man, my wife was in a car accident. Pardon me, my pregnant wife was in a car accident. My car got impounded. We got our car back. The baby's fine.
Okay?
My wife's fine.
Okay.
The car's fine.
Good.
Like, it has a dented fender. And that's like the only thing worse for wear out of the whole situation. A dented fender.
So it was literally a fender bender.
Yeah, the truck that hit her like mounted, like in Jeeps park with like one tire on top of like another Jeep's tire.
Yeah,
this truck did that to my Kia.
Oh God!
So that truck didn't even like get hurt. It was just literally a bent fender. And the minimum specifications for the GPU for Odyssey is a 780. And I have a 660, a whole generation newer, or pardon me, older. And man, I'm scoring like a solid 25 frames a second in most settlements. Unless there's NPCs there, and then it's lower.
Now, wait a minute. If I wanted to get a 660, I'd have to like go on an archaeological expedition or something, wouldn't I? I mean, that's an old GPU.
You could buy mine or Teflon's.
Oh yeah, Teflon
I have a couple of 460s in the other room.
I think I've got a 560 Ti or something down in the basement.
There was some talk about 1660 Ti's in Discord today, so I looked them up on Amazon. They're going for like $700 right now.
Yeah,
that's insane. That is conveniently above the MSRP for the 3060.
Yeah.
Hopefully the hash limiter.
Well, I'm sorry, man.
Cards.
Oh no, I got a new job. I don't work at McDonald's anymore.
Really?
All right.
My computer runs Odyssey. So I'm really winning.
Doing
here.
better than mine.
Mine too, apparently.
Wow.
I mean, even more powerful PCs are getting their butts kicked, so don't feel bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think there's more to the story.
Yeah, my wife has a 3070, and it gets its butt kicked.
I did turn shadows all the way like to the lowest setting because I know that graphical processing units often struggle with shadow effects in games, and I think that's really the only reason that I'm even able to like load any other part of settlements. It's because I have shadows turned down.
The lowest setting is off, I believe. At least
the lowest setting is low, not off.
Ah, okay, that's new. That's new. I remember in the previous version, you could turn them. The lowest setting was off, and it was very performant, as Frontier likes to say. But
weird.
It was like if you were flying and you had a back to the star, your whole dashboard would be fully illuminated by the star because even your ship doesn't cast a shadow on itself. It was interesting. Anywho, I think that there's some strangeness. There's this whole business about delete your graphics files, which I did. I had heard that advice and did that. So I think I got away from without any issues. I didn't have any control binding issues or anything like that when I got in. In fact, it totally remembered the bindings that I had set in the alpha, and I didn't have to set anything. So
same here.
That was nice. And then so I just deleted my config and then I reset it to ultra and cranked there's like one or two things that I have set down to high. And so I just started from the same setting as I had in Horizons, and seems close, but not quite as far as performance is concerned. And it depends where you are as well. So I don't know. We'll see if I ever see the game again.
Yeah, well, that was
if you can play.
Two things that people had mentioned is moving your config file for your graphics setting to get a fresh start on that. And there was a brand new NVIDIA patch that came out, or driver that came out the day before launch. So having that updated and tweaking that, getting rid of your old settings file, that seemed to help. It was running really good for me. Just a little weird stuttering going on, and doing the getting rid of the settings file, that seemed to get rid of that stuttering for me. I've been running, when it's running, it runs good, and I haven't had too many crashes, maybe 2 orange sidewinders. But other than that,
with an error
seemed to run good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So server crashes then.
Mine has been absolutely beautiful. Not bragging or anything, but all I did was delete all the configs, cranked her to ultra, and just went about my merry way.
Yeah.
I haven't even noticed a stutter, not even a little bit.
Oh, good for you.
If there is a stutter, I don't realize it's there.
Yeah, I didn't see it either. I assumed I prevented myself from seeing it by deleting the files, because there is a little bit. I actually compared them. to make sure that I was setting like myself a baseline for what my settings were in Horizon, or closest to, because there are a couple of things that are different, and like one thing that has a different name now. So that may be where the discrepancy is happening, is something doesn't overwrite properly for some people. So I think I skipped that aspect of it, and then it's just a matter of like, things are just, I've only tried it in VR. I didn't even turn it on flat screen yet. So I'm sure I could just overpower the thing flat screen, right? And it wouldn't make a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like it was sort of meaningless to pull a 3080 out and go, "What's you guys' problem? It's running fine for me."
I mean, you could.
I decided I could. Yeah. So I just played it in VR.
So have you gone a few rounds transitioning from in your ship to on foot? How is that for you?
It's fine. I mean, I think it's, a little bit noticeably smoother than it was in alpha. And like I said, I started up and I just let it do the tutorial thing. So it actually starts me on foot. There's some strangeness that I was a little disappointed by, because it was things that we had seen in the alpha and pointed out to them that are just a couple of like just errors of omission. Like in the holograms in the ship displays, like where you see your target, like a station, the 3D model of the station or your ship that you're targeting, or your ship, they appear like, how do I describe this? It's showing the same image to both eyes is what's going on. So like only one of the eyes is displaying, but it's showing it to both eyes. So it appears as a flat, almost like a sprite. Like if you guys remember games back before objects had 3D models, they were called sprites, and it was like a flat thing that would always face you. Am I just talking into the air?
No.
Okay, you guys are all little. Okay. To the little kids out there was this game called Doom. It's like that. So
it only had so many positions animated.
Right. It was like a flat thing in the 3D space that would always face you, and then like it would sort of change what picture it was showing you. But so that's how they appear. So it's like a 3D model, and when I move my head around, it shifts and changes shape, but it's not actually in 3D, which is very weird to look at. It almost sort of hurts your eyes a little bit. And the landing pad display is the same thing, which makes it a little hard to deal with. And that's been happening since the start of the alpha. And it's like, guys, just you forgot to put both eyes on that. Could you please? So that's still there and stuff like that. When you first load up that tutorial business, there's a screen that says something about present day, and there's text and stuff. Mm-hmm. And that appears flat, like you'd expect, but it's not flat like a game menu where it's a few feet out in front of you. It was like attached to my face. So I could see that there were letters in the like corner of my lens. It was like way too close enough to the side to see. It's kind of strange things like that. But I played the whole thing out, and all was fine. Murdered a bunch of people, and then got sick of it when they brought me back to the station.
That training mission. Yeah. That's fun.
This is a nice way to drop you in, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's about all I've done. After that, I grabbed my vulture and went and shot down an anaconda. I love. Apparently, I'm talking about this now. I love the way everything looks. I think how dark everything is awesome. I'm just going to get that out of the way. You're not going to convince me that everything being super dark is bad, because we're in space and I love it. I haven't FSS'd any ice planets yet, so I haven't been blinded. But so far, like, obviously there'll be some tweaking, but generally I like the high contrast a lot better. I like the way that shields look and all the nonsense. So I'm all in favor of the new graphics, and I think things really do look fantastic. I really don't think it should be getting quite the performance hit that it's getting, and I think there's still some bugs in there needing to be chased out, because I think it shouldn't really be causing the strangeness that it's causing. So that's about where I am. And that's, as far as I played in VR, that's all I've seen. So the mouse is still a little jittery. I guess that's the other thing I'll say is when you're on foot, I would love for there to be some kind of smoothing to it, because when I'm moving the mouse around, it's super obvious how I don't know, like even with my sensitivity quite low on the mouse so that it's steerable and reasonable for my mouse's tracking speed, it feels like it shakes all around kind of as it's moving. It doesn't smooth. I would love to have it average over the last 3 frames or something like that so that it appears smooth, because that's sort of crappy.
I haven't noticed
when it's
that
a giant screen in front of your face. Was this in have you
just
played it in VR?
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm meaning the VR cinema view of being on foot is it's such a massive screen, and frankly, like it you can see the pixels in it just because of the way it's rendered. It's just not as high res as the normal. I mean, my headset is rendering the normal resolution, but the screen is displaying like pixels in VR, and those are bigger. Right. So I think that's what it comes down to is I can't move the mouse less than one of those pixels, right? Even if the sensitivity was all the way down. I don't know if that makes any sense. It's probably something that you'd have to experience to really get. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
And I'm not going to play VR if I'm not playing VR, if you know what I mean. If I'm not in the 3D environment, I have no desire to put on a headset to see a flat screen when I've got a flat screen that I can look at. So I don't know.
Right. And you can toggle it, but I don't know. I was sort of hoping that I wouldn't feel the need to. I guess it depends. Like if I'm hopping on foot for a minute to go into a station and buy something and get back in my ship, then maybe if I go to do a mission and I know I'm going to be on foot for quite a while, maybe I'll toggle at that point. I'm not sure yet. See how it feels, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, how do you guys want to tackle this? Because I really feel like, why did I even make show notes a bit? Like, we've got squad update to do. I guess I'll check in and see if anything happened at Galnet. And then there's like the news about actual like the update and the hotfix that went today, and just probably talking more about how everybody's getting on. So what do you think? Call it out. What do you want to do now?
Squad update.
Anybody?
Yeah, let's do the squad update, and we'll get to that. Because then they can talk about the BGS goofiness too.
Yes. All right. Let's break this dumb Odyssey talk up with dumb Odyssey BGS talk.
Incoming priority message. Squadron briefing.
Take it away, boys.
Anybody there?
Well, not at once.
Nurgle, we cannot hear you if you're talking.
And Hate's mic is muted.
We have lots of stuff going on in the BGS. We're about to finish our invasion war. We have 2 elections that we're in the lead of. Ross 310's expansion is 7 or 8 days from now. We are about to lose our good friends, the Helsina Knights, out of HIP 4907, which is a travesty. They're working on it. We have auxiliary orders posted for us to try and get them out of the retreat area by tomorrow's tick, or they will be gone. Psykit got to name a station, and it landed in Snoqui Xian, which is within range of Qama, Calarum, and NLTT 2969. She's given us the blessing for us to capture that. There's 2 non-native factions in Snoqui Xian right now, but they're tied at 13.x influence in a war right now. So we'll have to finish that war and get one of them kicked out. And then wringing my hands, I guess we'll have to trigger an expansion from somewhere. Though it would be quite easy for us to do that from NLTT 2969, it'll probably be more profitable for us to use Calarum because it's much easier to control.
That's true.
And several of our systems have been noticing some very curious influence movements. And we may be having like a 4-facet war here with the Fednecks, a certain group of Russian EVE players. They got kicked out of EVE and are now playing Elite. And some of our sins from the past in the Fate system might also be affecting us.
Wait, I'm sorry. We have sins from the past.
We've committed no sins.
Yeah, that was completely
righteous.
justifiable.
It absolutely was justifiable from our perspective, but the folks who lost control of their system and got kicked out of the only other system they were in probably don't see it that well.
Well, I think for any neutral observer, the important piece of information is they shot first.
Yeah, and many times.
And actually second, third, fourth, and about eighth. But and by the way, for those keeping track, I think that was crash number 6 for me that I just came back from.
Welcome back.
Yeah, but I'm going to kind of go off the rails here a little bit, talking about Fedneck. So first, I think we need to define the term Fedneck.
Let us understand.
Let us understand what a Fedneck is.
Cue up the old 50s informational video.
Yeah, exactly. The more you know. Dun, dun, dun. This is a Schoolhouse Rock episode for those of you who go back that far. So, in simple terms, the Fednecks are those players that when they log onto the game, the simplest way to put it is they look at the screen and they see Federation. And they just, clinch for their own pleasure.
Was that their? Yeah, I was gonna say, was that their happy?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so to be clear, there are player groups and squadrons out there that are Federation aligned or Alliance aligned or Empire aligned. They have their own faction. They have their own ethos to support that larger power. We're not talking about that. There are player factions out there who are aligned to one of the major powers or another, and they role play that, or however, that's part of how they play. We are not talking about that. We are talking about the people who have no PMF no player faction of their own. Sometimes don't even have squadrons of their own. They literally have no skin in the game, and all they do is fly around the universe, making sure that the Federation factions dominate everything. And the Alliance and the Empire have their own version of this. It just so happens that in our part of space, we're dealing with the Fednecks. We probably need to come up with names for the other ones. But it's completely ridiculous. I put this on the same level as the people who play in private and screw up other people's BGSs. And this is not about how you want to play the game thing. This is about people who literally have nothing on the line except what they do to screw up other people's gameplay. In a lot of ways, I look at this like, I hate to use the term griefing because it's not griefing. But a lot of it is similar because, again, they've got nothing on the line. And they're playing some fanatic jihad federation.
Sorry.
Oh, I know.
And I spent a fair portion of this afternoon flipping through and touring our systems, or well, not our systems, but systems that are close by to where our systems are. And you'll look at systems that have no player faction in them, and they have 7 factions. The top 2 or 3 are Federation factions, and then you have all the independent factions that are buried in the bottom at like 1 or 2%. And we were talking about this before we started recording tonight. We have 2 or 3 of our own systems where you see these Federation factions that they're NPC Federation factions. They are just being driven straight up in these systems, and it's everything we can do to keep them from pushing other factions out. And it's all because you have this group of people who, they get off on seeing Federation factions out there somewhere, and that's all they're doing is flitting from system to system, only working for the Federation factions. For reasons that I really can't understand. And that's my rant.
Well, that sucks. Hey, if you're listening and you're one of these people that we've been complaining about, What's your problem?
Play with us. We're a lot more fun.
Yeah.
More fulfilling.
If
you're literally not gaining anything. You're doing this for no reason.
And if you're one of these people that Nurgle just offended, you can send a DM too.
It is a video game. Okay, yeah. So like that's obviously like the answer to the question, what are they doing and why are they doing it, is that. That's what they think is fun. Game, however, right. it is crappy to be in. This goes back to the should BGS be affected by solo play kind of stuff. And you know, anyway, I don't know. Who cares about my opinion, I guess, but still, because it's not going to change anything. is how I can have any opinion I want about whether BGS should be impacted by solo players or private group players. But it's not going to matter because they've made we're not predicting any change of heart on that on the part of the game. So
and somebody else,
it's crappy that we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, somebody else I was talking to today, had some really good advice. Said, don't worry about it. They're all going to burn out in a couple of months and then go away and just go and take those systems right back. And you know what? He's almost certainly right. Doesn't change the way I feel right now.
Right. Cool. Well, everybody, check out Squad Order's channel in Discord to learn what you're desperately needed to do. And I would sincerely be helping. No, that's not true. If I could get into the game right now, I would definitely just be messing around and seeing if I could find pre-engineered suits at any stations. I know the truth.
It's not pre-engineered. It's pre-upgraded, which means it'll have slots available to take to the engineer to have the engineered purchase modules.
All right.
Wait a second. Do you understand how that works? I don't understand that at all.
Okay, settle down. Everybody shut up. We're not doing that yet. I don't want to, let me chew through, because apparently there have been Galnet articles. So listen, since we've I'm sorry, am I telegraphing my opinion too much? Since we last recorded, the federal citizens have approved government scrutiny, which I guess was the outcome of the CG. Is that correct? The alliance unrest as Mahon and Kaine clashed. That's just getting ready for, I believe, the thing that happens today, which is alliance election candidates announce community drives. So I guess we have delivery community goals now for commodities. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So you can help. Actually, that's a little more than I was expecting, because the alliance doesn't really have. It's like the council that votes. So I kind of. This is a way, I guess, to loop the players in, and presumably you can help decide whether the alliance stays with Mahon or tries some new evil. Probably, I don't know. We can only hope. So, okay, now I've done it, right? Galnet. Any other comments about Galnet? No. Good. Wonderful. No. Okay. Guess what, guys? Dev news. Odyssey came out. Let me start it this way.
Odyssey, what is that?
Yeah. So it's this thing. There was a stream today. I did not get to watch it. I feel like my phone didn't alert me, and I was probably much too busy with work anyway. So does anybody want to fill me in? Because I understand there was a bunch of guests. I believe there was a Braben sighting. Somebody watch it.
Yeah, I'm doing my podcast. What's up?
I don't think anybody has to see it.
I think the one guy who watched it is having to talk to someone in real life right now, so we're gonna. I am pretty sure. I am pretty sure that the stream contained, and the old-fashioned set for one thing, because I did see a couple of screen caps at least in a minute or two, and which is all fun and dandy. And David Braben came and talked for a little while, and then there were some other guests, various people from the development team. Davstott was there. I saw his face as I was scrubbing through the video without time to actually watch the playback. I guess whenever Chig comes back.
One of them was the art director, maybe one of the guests that I've seen before. I might be wrong on that.
Okay, right on. I was hoping that... sorry, I was looking at the wrong channel in Discord. No wonder I'm being distracted by messages that have nothing to do with this podcast. So All right, let's skip that then. What is Chig back?
No, I said we can come back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, okay. So Chig, did you watch the stream? Because I was pretty sure you're the only one who has.
Not all of it. I was in and out. I was chatting and I went for a run in the middle of it. If that means I didn't watch the whole thing. Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I caught parts of it. It was cool. I mean, David Braben was on there. You know, you don't get to see the great Brabe all that often. Wait, I'm not going to use that one again. The king of the universe. I don't know what to call him. David Braben. He should come on our show.
Yeah,
yeah, that'll happen. They went through a lot of stuff, and then later on, they had a handful of devs in there, and things like that, and it's their typical streams. There wasn't anything new. Towards the end, Arf apologizing. Well, not really apologizing, just saying they understand there are issues, and we play the game too, so we're as frustrated as you are, and the devs want to make sure that everything's good. One of those, great disclaimers at the end. We yes, we know that just tell us something more than that we know. That's all that the players really want. Well, no, we want a working game, but I won't keep complaining on that. But yeah, as far as any in-depth news, nothing really. It was during the stream that it was noticed that somebody said that fleet carrier upkeep costs had increased dramatically, but it was just a massive misinterpretation of what was happening because that we weren't charged our upkeep this morning like normally. Every Thursday you get that message saying your upkeep of 20 million or 25 million or whatever it is didn't come through, so we weren't charged. And if you went and you looked at your upkeep cost for your carrier, it was showing the accrued from last week through today. So it was 8 days worth instead of 7, plus 6 days going till next week. So it just seemed way, way higher, and people were losing their minds. But it got sorted out, and then once they did their patch this afternoon, everything went back to normal. We came back on and had the message that our upkeep was charged, and next week's upkeep looks a little bit lower than it normally does because it didn't accrue
6
through
days
all day today. I never noticed. If you go look at your accrued upkeep,
your budget breakdown.
Yeah, in your budget breakdown, the accrued, if you go away from it and come back an hour later, you've accrued more upkeep. It's just a running clock over the course of the week until it gets to Thursday, and then it charges you. And then it starts accruing again over the course of the week and then charges you. So it's
like every time you run the landing pad up to the surface and then down into the hangar, there's a guy that comes around and squirts grease onto all those cogs, and then you got to pay that guy. And somebody else lands on your carrier, maybe does a little business. You got to pay the cashier. You got to pay the guy to grease the thing. Somebody's going to use the bathroom. Yeah.
Little known fact. Most of the cost, bio-waste disposal is most of the running costs.
Especially on a carrier that ingests as much cheese as me. My carrier.
Yeah, they're always having to call in space router.
Yeah, a lot of space plumbers for sure. Mario and Luigi are hanging out. They're not cheap.
Do you have a fighter called Mario now?
I should.
You definitely need to be on the lookout for that.
To me, yes. But yeah, I don't know. I went off on a tangent. Oh yeah, because that happened during the stream today, and then everybody was kind of losing their minds. That's why I brought that up at this point. So,
okay.
Yeah,
I was going to ask about that. That's good. Okay.
So does the appearance of the old set, does that indicate they're moving back into their offices more?
They said they're back in their offices. Most of the lockdowns have been lifted and stuff. And
cool.
I don't live over there, and I don't watch the news daily. Especially, the British news. They were dealing with a bunch of Princess Diana stuff today, which was really weird. But from my understanding, their lockdowns are lifting considerably, and people are getting back to work and trying to get back to some level of normalcy.
That's presumably good for game development.
Presumably good for the planet, really.
Right. Yeah. So there was the patch notes right on Wednesday for the actual Odyssey release, the 4.0 release, were many pages long. It was
I was going to start
very much the longest thing.
When you asked me how it was going, I was just going to start reading them and see how long before you stopped me.
To admit, that was an impressive list.
It was. I wouldn't stop you at all because I'm actually going to read the whole thing right now to fill time. So,
all right, I'll be back to next week's show. We'll catch you later.
If you guys want to go take 30, I'll. No, I'm definitely not going to read that. It is there to be seen.
Paste it into Microsoft Word and have Sam read it. Just have the dictation.
Just walk away.
Function read it. Yeah.
Outstanding. A couple of takeaways that I noticed in the long list of stuff. There were a couple of Horizons fixes in there. There was a small section that specified Horizons. I didn't make note of anything that was in it, but little bits of fixes apparently, and lots of mentions of certain things affecting humanoid weapons, or when a humanoid does this, or when you do something like this near a humanoid. Lots of mentions of things that are humanoid. That stood out to me.
Fascinating choice of words.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, there was
that didn't turn into a rousing discussion, did it?
Well, we all know what that's leading to.
Yeah. Right. Apples. The takeover of the sentient apples.
Don't bring up apples with dubs and channel. Jesus.
Don't forget cats with thumbs.
Wait, what about apples?
No,
those are space cats.
How about them apples?
But why not bring them up with what?
What?
Don't dubs. Don't chase this rabbit.
All right.
Okay.
Go on.
What were you going to say, Nurgle?
That was just okay. Go ahead. Nurgle.
You're completely glossing over the most important line in all of those patch notes.
Oh, fill me in.
The addition of new models for toilets and showers and settlements.
Toilet variety. Yeah. It's true.
That
undeniably
had to be
true.
in the patch notes.
And that does say something about the level of detail in their patch notes that they felt they needed to mention that.
What? Well, they're shit, so they needed a toilet? Wait, I didn't say that. Never mind.
Oh, come on.
I'll be nice. I'm optimistic and I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah. It's these things are always a bit of a roller coaster, and I'm on it. I'm on the coaster right now. Okay. So let's skip over that. There was a section that's been pulled out and someone copied into the notes so kindly about Odyssey BGS changes. I am certain somebody wants to tell me all about this.
And I'm gonna gloss through the actual text real quick and then talk about it. So Odyssey BGS changes. Odyssey settlements will appear in different states and reflect one of the BGS states affecting their controlling faction. When two factions engage in a war with each other, the Odyssey settlements will become battle sites and turn into conflict zones. When a war is resolved, all battle sites will return to being standard settlements under the control of the faction that won the most conflict zones at that particular battle site during the war. And then Odyssey adds new actions which the player can carry out that have a knock-on effect to security and economy of a given faction, as well as increasing and decreasing the chance for certain states from occurring. And then they listed a whole bunch of these new quote-unquote triggers, which are just the ground functions of existing triggers. So it's important. Again, this is the way they use terminology. They call them Odyssey settlements. So the Odyssey settlements are only visible in Odyssey. They're not in Horizon. When you read that, the way this sounds is that when two factions go to war, those Odyssey settlements are going to become their own conflict zones. And then at the end of that war, first of all, when two factions go to war, they're always fighting over an asset in the system somewhere. In Horizons, that's a landable asset. In Odyssey, that's also going to be a landable asset. But with the addition of the Odyssey settlements, all of those will turn into conflict zones. And then at the end of the war, each conflict zone will change ownership based on the side that won the most conflict zones at that site. So when you take that and you couple it with Odyssey adding new actions that players can carry out that will affect economy, security, as well as states for different factions, it does not behoove you if you are in a conflict, your PMF is in a conflict system. It is not in your interest to win a lot of these conflict zones
on the ground.
On the ground, because all that does is increase your exposure for other missions like turning off the power and all the other stuff that's going to affect you. It is literally in your interest to do what you have to do to win the conflict, but don't go out and try to control a whole bunch of these settlements. That actually is probably going to end up working against you.
I get confused. So you're saying that we want to let control of settlements fall to other factions because then we're not exposed to the BGS effects of missions that affect those settlements. Although the same could be done the other way around. Like you'd be affected by the positive impacts.
Yeah, but the number of positive effects are going to pale in comparison to the number of negative effects. It opens you up to being able to be attacked in a way that previously you were unexposed
to. Interesting. What is your feeling on that? Do you expect, I think we should expect balance changes, right?
Oh, yeah. I expect there's going to be, in addition to multiple hot patches over the next few weeks for a variety of things, I think there's going to be some pretty wild
I wonder
balance patches going in for things too.
I wonder if the on-foot battle zones will count as much.
They did not say. I'm assuming they are, but they've never mentioned the weighting of the on-foot combat zones versus ship combat zones.
Right.
So I guess we'll know when we know, and there are already groups out there who are organizing to test this. So hopefully we'll have some information within 10 days, 2 weeks to try to judge that, assuming there's not a patch in the meantime to change it.
Right on. Okay. Any other comments on BGS stuff?
I'm fine with all of it as long as we have Nurgle and Hate around to tell me what to do, because I just don't have the time or the patience to monitor all of that. You guys are insane.
That's true. That's true. We are.
We emulate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that kind of dovetails into the next thing I had on my list, which was thinking about balancing kind of more generally. I wonder what you guys' thoughts are. I haven't gotten to do any like missions or really play in the game much at all. Like first? I said, absolutely. So to kind of explain where my thinking is going, and then of course we can take it wherever we want. But it seems to me that missions, I already will tend to, if I can, avoid missions that are going to take me down to a planet surface, especially if I'm trying to work BGS, because I'm trying to just get a lot done in whatever amount of time I have, right? So if I'm going to do some on-foot missions, those probably take even longer to complete. So are the rewards going to be worthwhile? Are they worthwhile now? This is the whole thing, right? Like, how are we going to balance this up? Because on the one hand, you feel like you take your Anaconda in and smash up some stuff. That should be a very powerful thing worth a very lot of money because it's some elite combat mission or something, right? But on the other hand, if you're down on foot, everything's much smaller scale, but it has to be worthwhile to the players in what reward is worth it. So is this why suits cost as much as some of the ships, or so on and so forth?
I will say that for me, the time investment for going down to a planetary mission is going to be a real deterrent in accepting those missions. It's going to limit the amount of gameplay. It's going to limit the amount of effectiveness if you're running BGS or whatever. It's just because those foot missions are much, much longer than any comparable ship-based mission. And at least in the alpha, the rewards weren't there to match that time.
Mm-hmm. Hey, do you think they need to pay more?
I have lots to say about this. Are you ready?
Fire away.
Okay.
Buckled in.
Man, I have a courier that's fast as fuck, boy. Thanks, Stubbs. And getting down to a planetary surface to do a mission is partially skill-based. You do have to deal with the drag of a gravitational well to get down there, and then you have to land. And if you got a shield, it's much faster to land by just slamming your ass on the ground and then hopping out of your ship.
Combat landings.
Yeah. And 150,000 credits is like the maximum volume of credits that I have seen for a mission. For the loose screws who I'm max rep with, I should be able to see million credit missions. And there might be some chain missions from planet to planet while doing missions for, just a single faction that do pay out, multiple millions of credits per mission. But between scavenging for the new resources and goods and upgrade materials and the new engineering materials, doing the new stuff is worth it. So until the console release, right now, the harder to quantify resources that you're earning are definitely a very solid part of the reasons that you're going to be taking these ground missions. And if we could get more single system missions so that we could do more focused BGS, like we were doing in the alpha, where you were only stuck in a system, I would love to be in a current trouble system for us and be doing missions versus every other faction for our faction in the troubled system. And there are 12 of the 14 systems we're in where that is a totally viable thing to do. So, yeah, it definitely is going to need some tweaks, but right now I think the pay is right.
You're just saying you want a lot more missions within the same system rather than all of a sudden half the missions are trips to Colonia. Is that what you're saying? Because that's driving me nuts. Looking at the mission board, and half the missions have you traveling to Colonia for the same exact rewards as
in 6 hours.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, they give you a 6-hour time limit. It's little things like that. Yes, I don't know if that's a balance issue. I think that's just a design flaw issue. But
a lot of this is their mission generator is in a lot of ways completely random. That's not technically true. It does have some parameters, but it's not. It doesn't have a good balance in it. And just before Odyssey, y'all will remember I was fussing about this on the Discord that one of the systems we were working was generating a lot of planetary scan missions that were 250,000 light seconds out. And that's one of those situations where there's no reward you can realistically give me for that mission that makes it worthwhile. Because in the time it takes to complete it, I could do 7 of them. And I'm worried that we're going to have the same problem with a lot of these ground-based missions. In that it's just in the time it takes to complete it, they can't possibly give you a reasonable reward for that without it being completely out.
Well, Dubs has run more missions than any of us here. What do you think about it so far?
Yeah.
The only reward that I've even slightly paid attention to for the missions was the little bitty engineering pieces that I needed for the weapons. So I don't know about the rest of the balancing, but they should probably pay out better for those.
Okay, so here's what I'm picking up so far from the conversation. Nobody's going to want to do on-foot missions because they're not worth doing, except to get the on-foot engineering materials, which you need to upgrade your on-foot stuff because you need that because you're not doing any on-foot missions.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
The rewards they're giving aren't that great because I can just take a planetary settlement power on mission and just raid the place and get the rewarded stuff that I would get from the rewards for the missions and the trades and the bartender, and they don't pay well.
So scavenging is better than the mission pay anyway.
Yeah, scavenging and just straight up stealing shit, man.
And they should have cross-pollination or whatever. You should be getting some ground materials doing space stuff and getting space stuff doing ground stuff, so it's worth it to go both ways and to evolve in both directions.
But the materials are so different in size. Like, have you seen the size of the materials you collect for spaceship engineering?
Yes.
Like, when you walked up to it on the ground, it's like the size of you.
Yeah, but it could be put in your ship. It's something.
Okay, wait.
You could have quest rewards that go into your engineering mats.
Something on that. Speaking about the size, this was from the alpha. I stumbled onto a random generated POI. It was some crashed ship, and there was a cargo canister there. So this is common, right? Like you used to find at like the crashed anacondas and stuff, and you drive up in your SRV, you'd shoot it, and some raw mats would pop out. Typically.
And that's happening now. Yes.
So I found one of those. Except in this case, instead of getting into my SRV, I just disembarked right out of the ship and went on foot. And I walked up to it, and the cargo canister had a couple of mag locks on it that I could cut with my arc cutter. So I cut them.
Oh, that's cool.
And in the alpha, at least, so update me, I guess, if this has changed, but I cut them and nothing happened. So and then I was confused. So I went back and I got in my SRV and shot it, and it popped into a million pieces and turned into materials like before.
Okay, so I just ran into those like 30 minutes ago, and the way it worked is there's two sides to it, and I cut the mag lock on one side. It popped open. It wouldn't tell me what was in the 3 canisters that were sitting inside of it, so I was like, all right, fuck this. Walked around to the other side, cut the mag lock. It popped open. It didn't give me those canisters, but then the canisters that were on the first side that I cut were gone. I was like, that's kind of strange. So I got back in my SRV and targeted the canisters, and it was sulfur. It was the mats you use for like synthesizing shit in your ship. I didn't try to shoot the canister though. I didn't see if it exploded into a million pieces because I was so busy getting a ridiculous amount of weapon schematics by just relogging and relooting. I also got all of the push, the stuff I needed to give what's your face?
Yeah.
I got that at that same settlement. It was some weird little
engineers.
Yeah, I don't know. It was some weird little POI that I got.
Yeah, I was flying around checking biosites and stuff, trying to find, some place to use my plant gun and stuff, and was discovering a lot of those on planets. There are, different types of on-planet signal sources where you can go down and collect crap like that. But any planet that says it has a biosite that I've come to, and this is dozens, does not have any biosites.
I didn't actually see the biosites. It's not like you used to where it's like, hey, there's a biosite there, and you go up and target the biosite and fly down to it. And I also didn't see anything on the heat map that would direct me to fly to a certain location. So I'm not sure
that's the problem I'm running into.
Or I might just not understand what I'm doing yet. Like maybe there's a mechanic that I'm not getting.
I'm going with I don't understand what I'm doing. I'm going to go with that rather than it just being completely fucked. But I'm very, very much. I'm trying to do Odyssey right now without watching any videos or tutorials. I want to see if it's doable, in game. And right now, the frustration level is pretty freaking high for me because I can't do plant stuff at all.
Yeah.
I can do missions, but I haven't been able to do any of the new exploring stuff.
Looking at how expensive
I was able to. Oh, sorry.
Looking at how expensive some of the upgrades are for the weapon and the suit slots, that's a little disheartening with how long it takes you to collect them. But at the same time, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe getting on and just grinding for 5 hours to max out all your shit isn't what you should be doing. Maybe it should actually take time and effort.
Would you just stop playing at that point? Well, that's what I'm saying, because we were talking about how the only reason you get in your suit is to hunt for suit upgrade materials. And if you really wanted to do anything else in the game, you'd fly.
I mean,
that's what I was getting at.
Fighting people on the ground. You don't have to have it. I don't think the suit upgrades make as big of an impact as engineering a ship does. But then again, I haven't had to fight anybody who has a fully maxed out suit. So I don't know. We'll see. I would like to see that a fully upgraded suit just makes things a little more convenient and doesn't make you just this OP freaking monster that just flubs baby seals.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how that goes and how that's balanced.
The combat's interesting right now because you're like constantly like, you know how you're worried about your cell phone going dead? That's how I feel with my suit. I was keeping track of where that outlet is to go charge my suit up because I'm getting nervous when I get under
or memorizing which carton holds the freaking recharge things that you can just go back to and get since you can only carry 2 on you.
Yep.
I would give up like 80% of my grenades to carry more energy cells.
I would too. I don't even use grenades.
Well, in the zones,
I use grenades by accident. I have not once intentionally used a grenade.
3 conflict zones. I didn't use a grenade once. Won all 3 conflict zones. I don't know. Didn't see the point
maybe
of
you'd be
grenades.
even better if you used your grenades.
Or was engineered or anything else. But that's like day 1, completely unengineered, not knowing what the hell I'm doing and just running around in these conflict zones and winning each one. It was weird. I was expecting to just get destroyed and lose each one, and I thought I was going to mess up somebody's BGS, but no, it didn't matter. You just win them.
This is Well, have y'all noticed the map mode that says civilization, where the options are human, guardians, and Thargoids?
Yes.
What is that? I literally just found it.
It's a map mode, right, that shows the civilizations, and the 3 options are human, like guardian, and Thargoids. Yeah.
Obviously, you would have to know that ahead of time if there was guardians or Thargoids in those systems, but it'll always tell you.
Yeah, I mean, we know where some of their stuff is, so I assume those would turn up in the map if you switch to them. Okay, wait, are we talking about the map now?
No. That was just a one thing.
Oh, we can go on to that anytime.
I can talk about the map. Segue. All right. So here's something. In the brief time that I was on today, I was trying to familiarize myself with a new like system app and stuff that looks like the fleet carrier interface, and I think I like the idea of it. I'm not sure if some of the stuff, I'm in that zone where I'm not sure if the problems I'm having are bugs or me not being familiar enough to know how to use it. I did find like the interstellar factors and stuff, which I couldn't find back in the alpha. I was like, what's going on? Where did that filter go? Well,
it's funny you mentioned that. I found it the other day and then couldn't find it to turn that filter back off then after. I'm like, where did I find that? Where was it?
It's under the icon that looks like a person.
Yeah,
instead of the map types. It's like in a different section than the rest of the map types, which is sort of strange. But I also noticed a bunch of things that I got really excited about bookmarks. For one thing, they're now in categories, which I think is kind of nice. But then I started to question why they chose some of the categories they did. I guess settlements being different than stations. I sort of thought at first, like, why do I care if it's on a surface versus in the air? Why would that make it a different category of thing? But I guess maybe they're talking about settlements versus places that have vendors, as being a station that has a vendor. But then I saw that you can favorite your bookmarks now. Awesome. I can favorite my bookmarks. So I immediately favorited my bookmark for the carrier and then found that carrier bookmarks apparently end up in the systems category.
Yes.
And there's no way to plot a route directly to my carrier bookmark anymore. So I favorited it. I now have no way to see what of my bookmarks are favorites. I can't find anywhere. If somebody has a clue.
No, you cannot filter by favorites.
Nope. So why did I favorite things if I can't filter them or if they don't show at the top of the list or something? It's still like only at the top of the list because I put an A on the front of it when I type the name. And there's no way. Now I used to click on my carrier bookmark, which was, essentially an object within whatever system it was in, and it would route me right to it. Right now, if I click on it, it brings me to the system, and then I can plot a route to that system. But so we lost functionality instead of gaining it in this. So hopefully that's just like a bug or an oversight or something, and it'll be fixed. But
speaking of map functionality, have y'all found out where to see what friend of yours is in a system you're looking at?
No, other than looking at the social tab in the comms panel and seeing what system they're in. If there's a green symbol in the galaxy map, I can't figure out how to see what friend that is. I just know I have a friend there.
Okay. Nice.
It's very, very wonky. I mean, just lots of it. It's like they've added extra steps to so many things. Like the system map used to just be able to, mouse over a planet and you'd be able to see like everything in one spot. Now you've got like 2 different buttons you got to hit to look at different stuff. If it's got, what it's composed of, and if it's got biosites or geosites, it's in different places. So you're constantly searching for stuff. In the Galaxy map, this is just a tiny little pet peeve. It's nothing big, but you know how you used to plot a course and you'd be like fastest and then you'd click economical and it would change and show you and then it would go. Now, if you change from economical to fastest, you have to replot. It doesn't just kind of replot for you when you switch.
But there's a button. There's a button for replotting though. Yeah,
but it's just extra steps. So I'd have to hit that button, then hit replot instead of just it's their. They've added steps instead of making things easier. Why make things more difficult?
Have you handed in any delivery missions?
No.
So you go and you get whatever it is you have to deliver. You get back to the station to deliver it. So you go into the 3 or 4 clicks. It gets you into the hand in a mission menu. And then you click the mission, click, yes, I want to deliver the goods. Do the little arrow thingy to move all of the goods over. And then that moves it to a completed mission tab, which you then have to get out of the tab you're in, go to the completed mission bucket to turn it in. They've added like 19 steps to something that used to take.
Okay, so the mission doesn't just stay in one place; it gets moved over to your completed missions bucket.
Right. It moves to a different bucket every time you do something with it, and you have to exit a bucket and go into another bucket. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, geez.
It's little things like that. Are these, I hate to say it, but is it so that, on consoles because you're still clicking on all these buttons. I don't know any reason why they did it the way that they did it. I can't think of a logical reason.
The thing where now you hold the button down for a second to get it to select the system, I thought that was to do with being able to store more than one function on a button for the sake of things like controllers, gamepads that have fewer buttons. Except that I can't figure out in the Galaxy map or in the system map, is there any function to not holding down the button to just clicking without holding? Because it seems like the functionality just changed from clicking to holding. And so clicking does nothing. And therefore, we haven't added a function. There's no point to turn it into holding the button down, right?
On the right side, once you selected the system, on the right side, there is a button to plot route.
But I could just hold it down to plot route. I don't need to add a second click to this. I'm just wondering what's...
Okay, well, if you just click on the system, you're saying?
Yeah, so
what happens? If you just click it instead of hold, if you just click on it, then you get the options on the side to look at the information on the system.
Okay.
Power play information, bookmarking, all of that stuff without actually plotting a course to it. So you can just click on it real quick. Are you doing that with your mouse? Yes.
Do you have your controller mapped? Your HOTAS mapped?
Yes.
Can you try it with that, please?
Let me see. No, I cannot because apparently I've got no key bindings bound for the Galaxy map.
So wait, what are we trying to do with the HOTAS?
I want to use Galaxy map with HOTAS because obviously in VR I'm not going to use the mouse because it completely fucking doesn't work at all. It actually used to a little bit, but now in Odyssey, the cursor is floating sort of at a weird angle about 3 inches in front of my face, and it doesn't correlate to the map at all.
When you click on the system on a HOTAS, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, so you still have to hold down to plot the route, but I was trying to just do a single click without holding it down, and I couldn't even get the info on the side panel to show up. So I felt like it had no function.
It displays the info when I click with the HOTAS button on mine.
Okay.
But you gotta
I was
be
just
on
messing it up earlier.
You don't want to try to navigate to the star. You want to navigate to the offset that shows it on the galactic plane, the little blue line to the blue dot.
Yeah.
That's where you want to.
Yeah, I get that. Okay. Well,
It
we'll
is
chalk that
really
up too.
stupid
I
that you
haven't figured
can't
out
see
how
your
to use
friends
it
and
again.
system. God. Quit bitching about that. I'm trying to find it because you'd think if you've got the green icon showing a friend is in a system, that information should be there, right? Why is it
would
not?
think.
It's just.
I don't think we ever
not.
had that before, more than them just being in a system, did we?
No, but you could
No.
mouse over it and it would tell you who was there.
No, it doesn't show that now.
No, you just know that a friend is there. You don't know what friend.
Yeah, bummer.
Sometimes I need to avoid systems with Chig in them, so I need to know.
Sometimes I need to
Don't you
find
have
systems with dubs in them.
You have an EDMC plugin for that, don't you?
Yes.
I'm trying to use
the
the Galaxy
Chig
Map
Eraser or the
right
Dubs
now,
Finder?
and I hate it.
Okay.
I give up.
Well, I've gotten quite used to it. I think I've got controls that work quite well, and I never use a mouse. But anyway, whatever. Well, that's fun. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I haven't dug into the outfitting menus yet, but I remember in the alpha kind of feeling like, well, shoot, if the this functionality I like about being able to buy modules without having to have a ship that can fit them, that's much better. Like, yes, much needed for a long time. But then there's this section about loadouts, and I feel like that seems like it's going to contain the function of being able to like save a loadout like you can with your suits, especially since that popped up for suits and it's so convenient. Like, I totally thought, oh, finally they've done it for us, but still not the case, right?
Nope.
Yeah, but
Would be nice.
Suit loadouts is like, it's just like your ship build. It's not like a saved. Like the modules are still in the suit, right? The weapons, I mean. I'm just trying to think of making it analogous
because
to...
in the alpha, I had one Dominator suit, or I should say I had one Maverick suit, but I had 3 loadouts for different weapon combinations, and I only had one of each of those guns.
Oh, okay. I haven't tried doing more than one loadout for a suit. Okay.
Yeah. They work like you're expecting something called a loadout to work. You click it and it arms you with that stuff, right? So this ought to happen. I understand that it's more complicated because your suits are always on you. Like, wherever your commander goes, your suits are with you. And that might not be true for ships and modules. So I get that it's more complicated, but at least it should have a, like, I can't load this loadout right now because we're missing this piece. Do you want to bring it here? It will take this long. You know, like that needs to, anyway, whatever. It would be very convenient if it was there.
Once again, it's another one of those goofy things where they seem to make it more complicated than it used to be somehow. I don't know how they managed to do it without adding any new functionality. I mean, I like at the shipyard, you can go to the shipyard, and when you look at ships, you know, if they've got only 7 ships available, those will be highlighted, but it still has the rest of the ships in the galaxy. So you can always see
grayed out
the ships everywhere. They're grayed out, but at least you can see them. Outfitting could do something like that, where it shows the ships that you have at that system and maybe the modules you have at that system, and you can assemble your ship or something, and that would even be less complicated than what they put in now. The new outfitting, I haven't had a chance to play with it a whole lot. I played with it in alpha a little bit, and now I've seen people complaining about it now, and I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely annoyances like that, but at least some of it has to be that we're just not used to these new interfaces, right?
Yeah, I feel like it has to be, but I was disappointed. It's funny because it's not something I was expecting them to put in on their own. The ability to just like have saved loadouts that I could just instantly add to a ship to change its configuration to a saved state. However, when they popped up with loadouts and knowing that that's how it worked with the suits, it was like, oh shoot, they really did it. That's outstanding. Except they didn't. So now I've been teased. And yeah, it's like the only added functionality that I could see is being able to buy modules without having to fit them to a ship to buy them. Like I had sold those prismatic shields by accident. So I signed up for Ashling like last week or the week before. I finally went and did the thing and bought back up the prismatic shields. But I had to fly a cutter out there to buy them because I can't just fly up in any ship and say, here I am at the station that sells them, please sell these to me, and then I'm going to transfer them to my carrier. I have to have a ship that can fit the module. So that's one of the new functions, right? Is I can buy modules and not put them on a ship. Yeah.
Can you buy larger than what you have available, though?
You can buy modules. You don't have to put them on a ship.
Just straight up buy them. Yep.
Straight up buy a module.
Will it allow you to buy the larger module than what your ship has?
Yes, Stubbs. It's a totally different section of the menu. You are not putting it on your ship. You are just browsing the store and buying the module. They just go right into storage.
Okay. Is that the first option above loadout?
But the problem is you still only have 120 module storage. So if you want more modules than you have storage, you're going to have to buy a ship to put those modules on anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I did after buying Prismatics is I bought 6 more DBXs. Stored a bunch of weapons on them. DBXs are handy because they're cheap and they have a size 3 hardpoint.
And there was also apparently, if you go to replace a module in your ship, default is sell the module you have on your ship already. So it will sell your engineered modules out from underneath you if you're not paying attention.
With no confirmation
where it used to be
warning.
stored.
With a very small tick box at the bottom right that you wouldn't normally see that you have to tick or swap. So speaking of buying larger modules, I'm making an attempt. It says we have size 8 shield generators. I click on it and it's like, hey bro, your ship only supports size 4. How's about you fuck off? This is what we're going to sell you.
Are you in the right section?
I am. I'm in the one that says buy module. I'm not in the loadout one. Module shop. Because there's only 3 options. Module shop, ship loadout, and module storage.
Okay.
Unless, let me try
really
this
not working.
one.
So the one thing that I thought I had to praise about this is not existing.
Either it's just not working at the moment,
imagined it,
or I don't know. All I know is it's not allowing you to do it.
Hold on.
Oh my god!
Let me see. What's the biggest thing they sell here?
Maybe it was working. Maybe it worked in the alpha.
I swear maybe I just saw it and assumed it worked without buying the module because I didn't have a lot of money in the alpha. This was phase 3 when I noticed it.
Okay.
Well, shit.
No, if you go to stored module.
That's your modules though, not modules that they have for sale.
All modules, all stored. Okay.
Like right now it says
correct.
They have one.
You can't buy it. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk about crime and punishment. Apparently, there was quite a discussion about how this has been updated and changed. Some of that happened on the stream, and even though Dubs didn't watch the stream, he managed to figure out crime and punishment. So please, tell me what I missed.
All right. So, crime and punishment. The crime, the bounty. I actually have the page open too that's talking about it, so that I don't go too far off track. So the bounty.
So you
now
don't claim there's a great new feature that doesn't exist?
It's all get confused.
Jesus Christ,
so now the crime.
I'm gonna get fired from podcasts.
Which is the bounty itself now follows you and not your ship. So you get out of your ship and you move around. The bounty still exists on you, and it can be found with a kill warrant scanner. So the ships, so everyone's familiar with how the old system was, to where the ship could catch a bounty and the modules were then labeled as hot. Now that's how ships and modules work, to where your commander catches the bounty, and if you are in a ship when you commit the crime, the ship is labeled as hot. However, if you are not in the ship and you catch a bounty, the ship is still clean, but you have a bounty on foot. But if you get into a clean ship with a bounty and your ship gets scanned, it can't be seen unless it's done with a kill warrant scanner. But if you are found to have a bounty while in a clean ship, the clean ship now becomes hot.
Okay.
Okay,
It's
can you
weird.
repeat
I
the
guess-
part of the stuff where you talked all about the things?
So let me just read it from the page because I'm confusing myself.
Oh, that'll clear it up.
All right. So crime storage. Crimes in Odyssey will be logged and stored on the player at a commander level. So your little dude running around. If a player commits a crime, if a player commits a crime while in a ship, that ship and all of its modules become hot. Similar to how the old module hot storage used to work. Or like whenever you try to move a module to another ship and it would still be hot. When the commander leaves their ship and disembarks on foot, they still remain wanted. They fixed an issue where crimes didn't clear when someone hands themselves in. Moving on to ship scans. Ships cannot scan on-foot humans for criminal activity. A basic ship scan will reveal if a commander in a ship is wanted in that jurisdiction, but only if the ship is hot. So if you are wanted, but you are in a clean ship, a basic scan will not reveal the wanted status, but a kill warrant scanner will. A kill warrant scan will reveal if a commander in a ship is wanted in that jurisdiction, even if they're in a clean ship. If an on-foot crime is detected while in a clean ship, that will make that ship hot, associating it with the player character's current jurisdiction crime. So a kill warrant scanner will tag a ship as being hot. It will only register the ship's hot status in the current jurisdiction, but will still allow the scanning ship to claim all bounties. On-foot scans. An on-foot human cannot crime scan a ship. If a human performs an active scan on another human with a profile analyzer, it will reveal if they are wanted in that jurisdiction, local or interstellar. So I guess profile analyzers work like kill warrant scanners, if I understand
Sounds
this
like
correct. Criminal death. When a player is killed and their bounty is claimed, they will spawn in a detention center. No surprise. If the player's ship was destroyed before or during the player's death and they paid for their ship rebuy, their ship will be available at the detention center clean and waiting for them to board. If the player does not pay for their rebuy, they can take a free Sidewinder, I do not recommend, at the detention center, or a free Apex shuttle from the detention center concourse. If the player's ship was not destroyed before the player's death, it will be waiting for them at the detention center, as long as it's clean. Well, I mean, I guess it'll be there whether it was clean or hot. That's where the next part gets into it. If the player's ship was clean, the player will be able to board it and fly away. I say that's a lie because I got sent to a detention center. And you know what wasn't waiting for me at the detention center? My ship. I had to pay for a shuttle.
You're special.
Were you in your ship when you got caught?
No.
Bum, bum, ba-da.
If the player's ship was hot, the ship will be impounded at the detention center, which means you're going to die, get sent to a detention center. Your ship will be sent to the detention center. You will no longer have a bounty, but your ship is still impounded because it is hot. And now you have to pay to have it unimpounded. I haven't had to unimpound a ship yet, so we'll figure that out when it comes. Ship impounding. When a player spawns at a detention center, all hot ships the player owns will be impounded at their current locations. So wherever they are across the galaxy, they're all impounded. Every one of them.
It's an APB.
The player will not be able to transfer these ships or take them out until they pay a release fee. This is a portion of the rebuy cost for that ship. We don't know how much of a portion. It doesn't specify. If the player was in a hot ship that was destroyed, it is not impounded. The player simply pays the rebuy and their ship will be clean when they respawn. If a player was killed on foot and their active ship was hot, they will not have to pay for its rebuy. However, the ship will be impounded at the detention center. So, yeah, fun. That's all. That's everything that was on the page.
That seems reasonable and legit to me.
It all does. It all does seem reasonable to me.
So let me shoot all kinds of holes in this.
Okay.
So
go for it.
So let's say we have a commander. We'll call him, I don't know, Teflon.
Okay.
Heflon.
That seems like a weird name. Who would use that name?
Yeah, well, it would take a really strange person to do that. Who goes out and generates millions of dollars in wanted bounties because, I don't know, this crazy person likes to shoot system shit. So we have our commander who has, we'll call it 10 million in bounties. He lands. He gets in a Sidewinder. He flies out of the station. I scan him with a kill warrant scanner. All of those bounties show up. I blow him up. I collect 10 million. He reloads in his ship.
Okay.
It sounds like this is open to massive exploits.
If anybody can figure out how to understand it.
Well,
I just want to say
he would
this.
respawn in the Sidewinder, right? And all his other ships would be impounded.
Yeah.
It depends on what the fee for that impound is, I guess, whether or not that balances out.
It sounds like, so if it's a portion of the rebuy, then rebuy is 5%. This is some fraction of 5%, something less than 5. So it's more expensive to get killed in your ship than it is to turn yourself in, which is fine. But it still costs you to get caught at all.
Right. Then you have to go and unimpound all of your ships.
Now, can you do it remote? I think that's onerous if you have to fly to the stations that contain them.
I have a couple ships that had bounties on them before Odyssey launched.
I just have one thing to say about this. Is what you've just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Just all of that was a rambling nonsense to my brain. I don't understand any of that, and I'm going Bloody Madison on it.
I think the system's pretty clear. Like, you become wanted. If you are seen while being wanted, the vehicle that you were in is now tagged as hot, similar to how your license plate would be tagged as hot if you committed the crime in real life.
So new category
that vehicle will now be seeked as
you lost
being
me
hot.
somewhere. You said release somewhere in there multiple times, and you lost me there. I was hoping that was included in the price, but
you were listening for full release.
Yes.
But I mean, at the end of the day, the bounty follows the commander.
At the end of the day, I'm just going to shoot whoever I want.
And then you will have a bounty, and half of your ships may or may not become hot. And if you get scanned with the kill warrant scanner, now you're still wanted, and now that ship is hot.
So if you got a bounty and you hop in your ship then becomes hot. And then if you leave your ship, does that come off your ship?
The ship does not become hot.
No.
The ship is not hot until the ship does not become hot until you are found being guilty of a bounty while in that ship. If nobody scans you with the kill warrant scanner, like if nobody finds out you have a bounty while you're in that ship, well, the ship's fine. Nobody knows that a crime was associated with that ship.
In this sentence, you're the crime.
Yes.
Because you're associated with that ship. Yeah, I think this is all positive. This is all good. I like it. Crime and Punishment has needed a workover. This is not a full workover. This
is just to make it work with people on foot
in the right direction.
And in space.
Well, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's a step in the right direction. It was necessary for them to take some step, and this is probably the minimum they could have done to make it work without changing more about the way it all goes down. Right now, I kind of think that there's other things that need a rework. You know, I still think it's. I mean, I'm used to it, but I think it's really strange that pad loitering is like death worthy. But I don't live in a, I don't live in a real life universe where Remlock exists. So maybe human life is really meaningless once Remlock is around.
On foot scanning.
Yeah, a bounty that I caught earlier. Like the sentence you just said reminds me of it. So, in the alpha, you could use the overload function on your energy transfer tool to essentially kill somebody, right? And it was considered murder or whatever. You caught a bounty for it. Apparently that doesn't work anymore. It just pisses them off, and it doesn't do any damage whatsoever. So I went
I thought it made them unconscious.
Apparently not. I just tried it like this morning.
No, I'm saying before. I think it was making them unconscious, not dead.
I don't know what it did to them, but I got a murder bounty when I did it to them, so I just assumed dead.
Oh.
But I snuck up behind this dude. I switched it over to overload. I charged it up and it zapped him in the back, and he just like flinched, said, "What the fuck?" spun around and saw me. So I was like, "Oh shit." So I charged it up again and slammed him in the chest with it. and it didn't hurt him. Again, he started firing at me, so I just ran away. But what it did is it gave me
bravely ran away.
I bravely ran away.
so
I was like, well,
funny.
shit, it's over. I've been had, boys.
Brave Sir
But,
Robin.
I'm trying to remember the wording it used. It said something about bounty via fine for reckless weapon discharge, and it was like 1,250 credits or some dumb shit. So I was like, okay, whatever. The X amount of dollars for the crime committed. Later on, I just straight up murdered a dude with a plasma shotgun in the face, and it was only 1,000 credit bounty. I was like, all right, so you're telling me that tasering somebody is way more offensive than just straight up shotgun blasting them in the face.
No. See, it's all scaled. It's all scaled. See, the guy that you were tasering was like really important, right? But the guy that you blew away was just some street urchin. Nobody cares.
And remember, he tasered him twice.
Twice. I tasered him. First, I tasered him in the back of the head. He turned around and saw me. Tasered him a second time.
So it was only $625 per tasering.
But the thing is, it was the charge for reckless weapon discharge, and they immediately tried to kill me. I was like, all right, lethal response for what they consider to be reckless discharge of a weapon, which is a larger fine than just straight up murdering somebody.
It's not. Each zap was $625. The one murder was 1,000. You just have
it
to
only got me for
twice.
the second zap. The first zap they didn't catch, so he had no idea what happened.
Oh, because he couldn't see you?
Yeah, he couldn't see it happen. So I got no prompt for the first zap.
Oh my god.
Something I hope gets adjusted in the future is when you're on foot and the NPCs are at the settlement and they want you to stop and stand still each time they see you so they can scan you for bounties. And if you keep, last night they got me, if you keep walking, they start shooting immediately.
Oh, no, I figured it out. Draw your weapon, and then they're like, yo, put that shit away. You put the weapon away, and he forgets that he tried to scan you. You just turn around and walk away. And he just gives up. He's like, all right, I'm not fucking with that guy.
Just threaten him.
You just give him the like high, meet at high noon, and you just flash your pistol for a second, put it back away.
Go ahead, scan me, buddy. Look what I got.
Where you have to stop so they can scan you. I feel like it's more like you stop and you become invisible for a little while. You're like Drax on Guardians of the Galaxy or something.
Yeah,
it's just
mastered the art of standing so still.
Yeah,
but no, yeah. If you are currently holding something illegal or like a bad, like if you clone someone's profile, just draw your weapon and put it away, and they'll give up on the scan. Then you can just boost away to a rooftop somewhere, and they don't try to pursue.
Oh man,
awesome.
Oh man. Update. Oculus has just finally it tried like 7 times, and I finally just let it go without closing the app or anything. And after like 28 minutes of sitting there at 0% doing absolutely nothing, it said, "Oh, I finished updating." So I tried to launch it, and the launcher says you need to do an update before we can do this. So Oculus says it installed the hotfix. The launcher says Oculus didn't install the hotfix.
So
still
the hotfix itself is very small. I'll let you know. When I updated on Steam earlier, it took like a minute.
Oh, I know.
Maybe.
Yeah. I've downloaded it like 8 times because it downloads and then gets stuck on 1% installing and just hangs there using 20% of my CPU doing absolutely nothing. Until now. Now it's done, but the launcher still doesn't think it's done.
Have you tried turning it off and back on?
Yeah, lots. I've actually been sitting here the whole time we're recording. I've just been in Task Manager, force quitting all of the Oculus extra processes to really turn it all the way off. And likewise with Steam, just hoping one of them would update. Apparently, updating isn't enough anymore. You've even after I update, it says you got to update. So,
okay, random complaint 37. I hate more report. I hate all the green plants, the green floor, the green walls.
Yeah. Wait, has anyone seen Boyce Larson? Does he look different now?
No, he looks the same.
Damn.
But can you talk to him?
No.
Yeah, I want to see Boyce.
When you're in the mission board, you can see him right there.
No, I want to see him. I want to slap him in the face.
I wanted to see his clothes so I could make fun of his clothes.
Wait a minute.
Hey, Chig, do you want to do a Chig chat?
Wait a minute.
Stop saying wait a minute.
I'm confused. I open up the mission
my
board.
Captain's chair in 36 years.
I'm just gonna start playing random sounds.
Yeah, just go ahead. Just overwrite me. Yes.
It was hate.
Yeah, go ahead, Chig Chat.
All right, Chig Chat.
It's Chig Chat. Yeah, that's a fact. It's Chig Chat. Where the cheese at?
We here at Loose Screws never end a sentence with a preposition.
Yeehaw. Ty should have been here, but he got stuck. He's stuck 1,500 light years out of the system, and his HOTUS delivery got screwed up. So he's just not feeling good about anything with Odyssey at the moment. So hopefully he'll make an appearance with us again here soon. Chig Chat tonight. All right. I'm going to try to get off of Odyssey because otherwise there'll just be more complaining. I had a couple Odyssey topics I thought I would go with, but instead I want to go with randomly your all-time favorite FPS, being on the theme of Odyssey coming out, and it's an FPS, and obviously it'll be compared to other FPSs, but it's really completely different than any other one. I've never played anyone quite like this, just the complete sandbox side of it, where I still don't see the point of it, but now I sound like I'm complaining about Odyssey again. I'll stop. But going back in history of all the FPSs, you brought up Doom earlier, like the old school Doom, and then you had Duke Nukem, and you come forward through the years. And I've always I was never a fan of first-person shooters. I wasn't a big fan of Doom. I wasn't a big fan of Duke Nukem, and you came forward and more modern title, the new Doom. But then I got really addicted to 7 Days to Die, and it was like the first person shooter I ever got into, and it wasn't just a shooter. And I was thinking about it actually. Elite Dangerous was kind of a first-person shooter before you ended up on foot. Now it's an on-foot first-person shooter, but you were always first-person perspective and shooting stuff. So I digress.
All right.
It's just now we've added on-foot first-person shooter. But I want some ideas from people that I can go back and try, because I haven't played No Man's Sky, and I haven't played Star Citizen, and I've played a lot of others. I've always been more of a fan of third-person type shooters, though, like Gears of War and Tomb Raider. Even the old pointy-titted Tomb Raider, Lara Croft back in the day on the original PlayStation. That was awesome. Or
low
Resident
titties.
Evil, poly titties. Now, I'd much prefer big old anime titties, but poly pointy. Christ, I was like 19 years old or whatever when that first came out, so that was exciting. But I'm looking for, genuine first-person shooters to go back and try, even if it's older ones. If they're still available on Steam for cheap or something, I'd like to have something to go do. I know I've got a nice first-person shooter in front of me that I should be putting hours and hours into, but you need to mix it up. I can't sit here for 500 hours a day. So give me another. Well, I can't physically do it 500 hours a day because there's not that many hours. I'm rambling now. But yeah, what's your all-time favorite FPS? And I'm going to say it, 7 Days to Die. It's buggy as shit. It's more buggy than this game, but I enjoy it. And I think that it's because of the crafting and the building involved with it. And that's why I would love to see this game get something more in depth, some kind of crafting, base building, something like that, where you can make something your own rather than just outfitting a ship like we do now. And, that's why I like engineering and some people don't, because it's the closest thing to crafting we have. You have to assemble parts and have somebody assemble something for you. But that's my favorite. What's your guys' favorites?
That's the game, 7 Days, that's a survival game.
Yes,
at least as much as it is that it is a first-person shooter. So
it is. But I'm saying it's a first person's perspective where you shoot. So it's an FPS in my opinion.
Okay. Portal and Portal 2 and Dishonored. Two different flavors. Those are my picks.
Portal was
There's
amazing.
a little series of Dishonored.
Yeah, play the Portal games.
Yeah,
sure.
I've got them both on my system, and I've played them both multiple times.
Okay.
Yes, Portal. Yes, I changed my answer. My all-time favorite first-person shooter is Portal. But
have you done the multiplayer with another person?
Puzzler, isn't it? Then I have not.
Yeah,
done
it is, but it's first person. But I specified. I made sure.
I know.
Have you done the 2-player on it? On Portal
I have
2?
not. Is that fun?
Because it's a whole different game. There's all new puzzles in it.
Well, when are we going to do that one night?
It's not going to take one night. Many nights. They're hard. It's legit.
Well,
like the rest of the game.
Well,
anyway,
we have to do that.
You haven't even experienced all the Portal. It's amazing.
Well, damn it. Yeah, I played it on the Xbox. Actually, originally is where I played it. The first Portal, and then
Orange Box.
Orange Box.
Orange Box.
Yes.
Yep.
Indeed.
I watched a documentary recently by No Clip on like Arcane Studios made Dishonored games. I got that on my wish list now. That game looks fun.
Dishonored.
Yeah.
Take a note.
That Trax mentioned.
So Dishonored, there's a sequel, and then there's like an expansion to the sequel too. They're great. It's like a stealth based first person, and it's story driven. It's not like an open world, and there's some like RPG elements to it, and it's like a fantasy magic kind of situation. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Interesting.
I'd say if you want a nice, relatively short, solid experience, go back to Half-Life 2. That's probably my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Like 10, 12 hours, you can knock it out. And that was the first game I remember where I could kind of where I had to figure out what to do on my own. Like there's no prompts or, pop-ups that tells you what to do. You just see this wooden pallet that you need to get around, or these wood pieces of wood. Oh, I just break those and go where I need to.
Like one of the first real physics engines. It was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Here comes our resident guy who's played every game. Go ahead, Nate.
Well, I've invested a lot of time in FPSs. Yeah, the whole Call of Duty series is good for first-person shooters, if that's what you're after. But the cream of the crop is definitely Modern Warfare 2. I have gotten to the max level twice. 3 times if you count when I had some help modifying one of my accounts so that it was back to level 0 again. And then went through the whole leveling system again. But my favorite first-person shooter is probably Halo 2. And honorable mention, Titanfall.
Yeah.
Titanfall was good, though. That was fun.
And I think if you can find the original Halo, it's probably only like $5 wherever you find it.
Yeah, they're putting them all out again on as part of the Master
you'll
Chief
have to pay
collection.
full price for the Master Chief collection.
Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, being a long-time Xbox player, I definitely played all the Halos. Good stuff.
Destiny.
What about you, Dubs?
Neural said Destiny. The Discord cut him off.
Stop. Yeah. I don't want to hear about Destiny. Ugh. You mean grind the game? Shit.
Well, there's a reason I don't play it anymore.
But no, Fallout 3 and 4. Those were great. Okay.
I never get into Fallout. I tried.
I had fun with those two. People didn't like 4.
I really enjoyed them. I loved them both.
3 in New Vegas, man. I really like
New Vegas was great too.
Yeah.
Thought about hopping into it when the one was VR, but just couldn't bring myself to do it. Same thing with Skyrim. Couldn't do it.
You get to detonate a nuclear bomb and blow up this whole town.
I know, right? Fuck those
innocent
guys.
People. Yeah.
Innocent. They were living. They built a town around a bomb. They deserved it.
It was warm though.
Boilers. Jeez, guys.
I was actually the good guy for the most part when I played those games. Like I felt bad when I made bad decisions.
It sounds like lies.
I mean,
it is.
I was a pretty decent person back then when I played those games. For the most part.
You've evolved.
I don't know. I don't know if I've played a lot of first-person shooters. I don't know. Have you tried the Stalker series? Those were pretty fun.
Have not. Never heard of them.
You know,
well,
I tried
like this...
one of the Stalkers, and I couldn't. It seemed so like rudimentary and strange to me. I couldn't quite get it going.
It is definitely not done by a professional company. That's what it seems like to me. Like they are definitely a bunch of Russians in a shed in the backyard making a game, and it was amazing. I liked it. I thought it was
you're
fun.
Selling it.
In an odd way, he is.
Yeah.
What is the? I see a Shadow Chernobyl and Call of Pripyat.
Pripyat is the one
Clear
I played.
Sky,
yeah,
which was
they were worth playing. I had fun. I enjoyed the experience. So there's your recommendation from me. Have it.
All right. I'm on it. And then we've got Destiny, and we've got the first Halo 2.
Yeah.
And then we've got the Portals. All right. I got a library to take care of. I'll come back to Elite in a few months when the bugs are fixed.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Couple more hot fixes under our belt.
I'll be honest. It ran way smoother yesterday than I anticipated. It came up sooner than I thought. I'll give them credit for that. But they did not put out a finished product, in my opinion. There's just so many quirks with this. I don't understand.
Yeah. I think this is the error. You know, there's that acronym problem exists between keyboard and chair.
ABCAC.
Yeah, I think we need a new one because the error occurred in the boardroom, I think, for sure. And I'm not saying like it would have been out on this day and complete, but I think the problem is this is being put onto the live server, but it is a beta. I mean, clearly we're at beta level with this, which is like, it would be totally fine, but because of something that happened in the boardroom, they had to put it out onto the live server. And so that's where we are. This is the live game now instead of a beta, but we're just beta testing the live game.
I mean, besides them,
that's what happens when the boardroom and a live service game collided. And
besides them just coming saying, hey, this is a beta, does it really matter? I mean, it is separated from Horizons in the fact that you can go back to Horizons if you want. So whether they call it a beta or not doesn't bother me. I'm still happy with it.
Right, I suppose in the sense because you can just turn her. Okay, well then it's a beta.
It is a beta. They're just not calling it
in
that.
everything but name.
It's
and
really
I'm still having fun.
Separate game tacked onto this game. Is what you're saying?
It's a beta that shares data with the game that's currently live in the Horizons server that you're not going to have your progress lost. Yeah, it's weird, and I'm okay with it.
It's a non-separate progress beta.
I'm having fun. Okay, I enjoy this.
Do you ever get a feeling that it's just more just the way that games are made now? Everybody talks about spaghetti code, with Elite Dangerous, and they'll have to reset the code. I feel all of these games with the engines that they run on, whether it's, the Cobra engine here or I can't think of the other engines.
Unreal.
Brain's fried. Unreal Engine. Yeah, there you go. You've got these massive engines and you get these massive games trying to build themselves into these engines or building those engines into the games. I'm not a game developer. I don't know which way it goes. All I know is that we've got, 50 gigs worth of data that has to function as a game running on a bunch of different hardwares, running, people trying to do every stupid thing in the world to try to break it as they go or exploit things or, find, shortcuts that weren't intended. There's all of this stuff going on. And that there's not, one person that can read all the lines of code and find it. It's a whole team trying to make sense of this giant bowl of swimming pool full of spaghetti that you're tugging on a noodle on one side and it's pulling something on the other. And it's just gotten to the point where, they think they can build these things at a certain speed, but they just can't. But then I don't know. Then you get Star Citizen, which just, continues to stay in, they're at least they're honest about it. We're just still building
Perpetual
the game,
alpha.
and we're just going to keep going. And 7 Days to Die is the same thing. That's an alpha. It's still an alpha after, 7 years or 8 years, however long it's been around. So I don't know. It just seems like if you're playing video games these days, release day is not the final product by any stretch, and not many games put out anything that's even close anymore. That's my whine.
It's okay. We still have fun.
Yeah. I wonder if we're in the wrong scene though, because like you said, not many games. Like I am aware of so much less than 1% of the games. So how do I know how many games come out and are correct and require very little patching over the next year after release?
Yeah, well, the larger games you hear so many of the bugs all the time. I don't know. I just go by what I read on PC Gamer. Are they mainstream media? So I shouldn't believe them. Is that fake news? Fake news, China? I don't know.
We're doing way better than Cyberpunk.
I think so. I think when the time I got to play, or I would be a lot less of a bummer right now if I could log in. I don't really know if it's Elite's problem or if it's, well, I don't know. I mean, it's Steam and Oculus doing literally the same thing, so I don't know if it's one of them or both of them or if it's the game. But
maybe the server where they're hosting the game files is just being taxed a little too hard right now.
Well, Steam is just totally unaware that a hotfix is happening. Oculus was super aware, took forever to install it, and then apparently didn't, even though it thinks it did. So now I'm in the same boat.
Think about how many Steam users and Oculus users are all trying to download this hotfix all at the same time. And
are you guys on Steam?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I downloaded it like literally the instant. Like the server kicked me, and I sat there and I watched it while I was playing 7 Days to Die on a second screen. I was like, "Oh shit, the upgrade button! Boom!"
This guy never doesn't have a video game on.
And see, I have auto update on, so I didn't even see an update occur. I was playing 7 Days to Die. Yeah. And Dubs is like, "Oh, the update is done," and okay. So then I came back to the game and I just had play. So
well, aren't you guys just the bee's knees? Anyway, I think it did run pretty well, for a beta. That's what I think.
It runs great.
And I'm expecting a lot more fixes, and I'm hoping for a lot more crap to go down with the menu. Has this horse been, what is it, kicking pigs? Has this horse kicked the pig enough?
Has this pig been kicked? I don't know where the horse came from.
I think so.
Well, because you has the dead horse pigged the kick?
Kicked the pig into the dead horse?
I have this
anyways
in our notes, this stuff here about in community comms. Who does this belong to?
Oh, that's me.
All right. Hey, lay it on me.
Yeah, Anti-Xeno Initiative is tracking several code errors. They have information on their Discord about how to help get the bugs on the tracker and how to upvote them. Some of the bugs are including getting to Super Cruise, restocking ammo for the Gauss cannon and the plasma chargers, and the flat cannon being severely weakened, and the payouts being reduced to their pre-combat payout buff volume.
Did you just say they nerfed the shard cannons?
No, the flak cannon.
Black. Okay, I just misheard that entirely. Okay.
Obviously, at the weekly tick, some stations came under repair, but AXI noticed a new incursion happening in HIP 16538, which is the closest to the bubble the Thargoids have been since their last campaign that actually got to the bubble, and it's been several years now since then. Overall, we had 9 incursion systems last Thursday, and then it got up to 10 because of one system that was added later. I think it was the California Nebula one. So we had 10. They cleared 2. So Operation Ida is repairing 2 of those stations. More on that in a second. We're up to 9 active incursions right now. Ida found that in Odyssey, the station repairing wasn't going right, and it wasn't requesting the repair materials at the burning stations they were trying to get repaired, but that has already been patched. It was a part of the patch that came out today. But with the carriers still being locked down, they got to do the old school long haul, and they're working on doing repairs right now. I have just this tiny little bit more. I'm going to keep going.
Go.
Several cannoneers are independently studying the new flora and old ancient ruins sites and guardian ruins and the Thargoid bases and barnacle sites. I believe I read that they have already found a thin atmosphere barnacle site. So that'll probably be coming up pretty soon. And as I get more stuff, as they start publishing their findings, we'll report more on that later.
Super duper. Thanks very much.
Nice.
All that is left on this episode of the Loose Screws podcast is to bring some semblance of normalcy back to our lives, as we often do with cheese.
Cheese. All right, I got a good cheese this week. Eat 'em. It's a Dutch cheese. I
thought you were barking orders at me.
Eat 'em. Yeah, go eat them. It's a semi-hard cheese. As I said, it's Dutch. It's a cheese that ages well. It doesn't spoil. It only hardens over time. So it was like one of the most popular cheeses, like way back, like from the 1300s through 18th century. It was one of the most popular cheeses in the world because it's tasty and doesn't spoil. So you can bring it on boats and stuff. So it'd be a boat cheese. But yeah, go eat 'em. Eat 'em, please 'em.
Cheese.
Stay cheesy, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining me on this very special episode of the loosest and screwiest podcast in the whole galaxy. If you like the show, please rate and review on your podcast app, which helps people find the show. And you can find us at Discord at discord.io/loosescrews. And you can check out loosescrewsed.com for our merch store where we have mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, and all kinds of stuff like that. And that'll about do it for us. Thank you to Chig, Dubs, Lieutenant Commander Data, Nurgle, and NL Hate for,
You should really just thank one of us each week. Don't thank everybody. Just thank somebody that you think did a good job. I know it'll be hard, but...
Who did a good job? You know what? I did a good job. I made macaroni and cheese with bacon in it for dinner tonight.
All right, you win.
No fuck ups there, everybody.
Nice. I made chicken quesadillas.
Nice. I might not be able to log into Elite right now, but I could still put bacon in macaroni and cheese. Damn it.
Put bacon in a shoe and I'd eat it.
So would my dog. So you two have that in common.
Speaking of dog food,
wow.
I ate at Taco Bell tonight for the first time in a long time. And it was fantastic.
What'd you get? Amazing. It's the best tasting dog food you'll ever eat.
Yeah. That fountain.
I don't know. I went to this dog bakery one time and ate their cookies. They were definitely just peanut butter cookies like you'd feed to a human.
I bet they sold a lot of cookies, though. They probably sold more peanut butter cookies to dogs than they do to people, because who just looks at a peanut butter cookie and says, I want that? Nobody. That's who.
All right. We're going to close down this crazy, crazy show. See you next time, everybody. Fly loose and stay screwy or something like that.
Now,
Bye.
walk loose.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, I got to work on that. Walk loose and nope, nothing good's
loosely.
Coming. All right. Walk and screw loosely? No, wait.
Loose
leg loosely. Space legs.
Everybody go find that release.
Okay.